Over the course of the last couple weeks, I've had a lot of events. I've gone to MauiCon, I'm signing at other realms, traveling to the outer island, a Christmas event. I think it was in Maui. Somebody was asking me about this thing I did. Stand by, I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so when I was in Maui, one of the guests there was asking me questions because they heard about a convention that I threw. So, for those of you who don't know, I do all kinds of crazy stuff. I make things, I write the movies, I design products, but more notably, I'm known for publishing comic books. And kind of, I don't know, by default, I got labeled as the godfather of Hawaiian comics. It's kind of strange, but it's an offer you can't refuse if I make it. So stupid. Anyways, so around that time, probably about, we're looking at about 8 or 9 years ago, the convention scene in Hawaii was starting to blow up. And I had a friend of mine that worked for a mainland comic book company, and he's friends with this convention called Amazing, run by the J Brothers. And he said that, hey, I got some friends coming through setting up this con, and would you help them out? And so I talked to Jimmy J on the phone, and Jimmy started telling me all these things about himself. And I said, hey, man, you know, I was told you're cool, so you're cool as far as I'm concerned. So what do you need? They didn't really need much, you know. He pretty much knew his way, what they were going to do, all that kind of stuff. He wanted to connect with the local scene. And I guess by default, I was the guy. And coincidentally enough, I had just formed this group called the Hawaiian Comic Book Alliance. Now, what the Hawaiian Comic Book Alliance is basically, it's a hui, or a group, or a club, as we call it. And a lot of people for many years have asked me a lot of questions about publishing comics, creating things, story ideas, layouts, that kind of stuff. And I was getting flooded with questions. So I hooeyed everybody together and we formed this group because I figure instead of saying the same thing over and over and over again, let's just tell them all one time. And a lot of people that I met, just really great people. And I love what they do. I love the enthusiasm for it. And I was kind of picky on how I was going to select it. Because basically, if I'm going to help people, if I want to make a group, I only had a couple rules. And they're very simple. Don't be an asshole and no bullshit. And that's it. And that worked out for me. So I got my friends together and we swapped ideas, we shared information. Some of the information we shared, like, you know, where's a great place to print things? If you want to make shirts, you want to make merchandise, who do you go to? Who you've had a good experience with? Like, hey, I've heard about this guy that does that. The prices are great, and then somebody else can share the information. Go, yeah, the prices are great, but they're usually late. Or, yeah, the prices are great, but this guy wants money up front and then he doesn't deliver. So we were able to share information to kind of avoid any potholes, anything that would make life difficult. So I had this group. This new convention came into town. They wanted to meet with the local creators, and we had this meet and greet, and it was really great. I've gone to several conventions in my life, and you know, there's a lot of them that are great, and you'll get to see people that you would never see unless you go there. The experiences have generally been very positive. However, I've never encountered any convention that genuinely cared about the local community and the local creators. So not only were they considerate to us, helped promote and showcase us, pretty much on the same level as the main attractions that were there. That's never been done before. So working with Amazing Comic Con has been very amazing. And it was neat watching everybody blow up. It was neat watching our group just blossom. And it's been really cool. So doing that, I was bouncing back to all the different conventions all across the state that featured comic books and creative things. And for me, I think it's really important, especially because our islands, if you guys haven't been to Hawaii, we have a lot of islands, but our main islands consist of 8. And out of the 8, maybe 4 are the ones that pretty much everybody goes to. So I went to the Big Island. I helped support them, help promote them, create awareness for that. A good friend of mine, Alika, in Maui, started his Maui Comic Con, so I was sure to be there. The Alliance came down. We supported it. It was a fantastic event. It was such a great event for us. Other conventions are popping up on Oahu, and then Aaron Yamasato over on Kauai started his Kauai Con, and that was a really, really good experience. So kind of going back and forth, being the intermediary, and we have this phenomenon in Hawaii, and it's called crabs in a bucket mentality. And what happens is, you put a bunch of crabs in the buckets, and as they're trying to get out, the other ones are pulling them down, and somewhere along the line, some people, who I will not name, you guys know who you are, started getting on this crusade to basically destroy the mainland company. The mainland company, Hawaii has a history with dealing with foreigners and haoles, as you guys understand this, and there's quite a bit of suspicion and prejudice, and rightfully earned. However, this is not the case. This is not my experience with this company. And right before one of the big conventions, right before the not right before COVID, but there was a convention before the COVID one, and it was brought to me. They stepped to me and told me that basically, you need to side with us because we're going to destroy this convention. And I was like, what the fuck? Because there's been friction between these different conventions, which I never understood, because I feel like there's enough to go around for everybody, and there's an opportunity to share and cross promote. This is just my mentality. However, some of these guys didn't feel that way, and I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but this is just what happened. So it was brought to my attention that they were going to try to destroy this company and try to bring them down, and I'm like, why would you do that? Because they do so much for us. And I was told that I had better watch out. Yeah. So, put that on the side. Let's talk about this convention. A friend of mine, Sydney, has another friend who makes these incredible cars. And he had told me that he had built this Batmobile tumbler in his backyard. So I was like, let me go see this thing. So I went and saw it, and I talked to the guy, and I said, hey, you need to show this to people. And he wasn't too sure about it. And I said, people need to see this. And I had convinced him that I felt like it's important to showcase this vehicle because people from Hawaii need to understand that we are capable of great things, that we can do extraordinary things. And this, what better a showpiece than a vehicle that looks like it was built on a Hollywood set. So I raised some money and I rented a flatbed truck. Unfortunately, when they had built the car, he didn't allow for the space, so he actually took a chunk out of his house so we could get the car around and get it out. He took a chunk out of the corner of his house so the vehicle could pass through. We got it to the convention, and as we were rolling it to the convention, we got warnings that there was going to be a hurricane. But we went ahead anyways, because, in Hawaii, hurricanes come and go, and a lot of times they don't affect us. So we got the car to the convention center. It looked fantastic. It was great to see everybody setting up their booths, all the vendors, all the other publishers, people flying in from the outer islands that are going to be at this convention. And we all waited on bated breath to see if they were going to shut us down. And lo and behold, they did. Thank God there was no hurricane. It was bright and sunny, and we were okay. The convention center that we're at was the Hurricane Center headquarters or whatever. And, the governor, I heard the governor and his staff got to take pictures with our Batmobile tumbler that we brought. But other than that, the convention didn't happen. I said, okay, well, at least we were thinking about it, that even if the hurricane had hit, at least the tumbler would be safe in the convention center. So that was kind of funny. So as we were taking it out, I invited some of my friends who were the cosplayers in Hawaii, and we got to do a really cool photo shoot. And of course, the gentleman who made the car, he was there. He had his Gotham PD thing on, and it was cool to see him with Batman and with the other characters. So we got to do that. As the day was going and people were breaking down their booth, I couldn't help but overhear what people were saying when they were taking their things out. There was a girl crying, and she was crying because she didn't know how she was going to make her rent. So let me back up and say when you're in Hawaii, it's basically feast to famine. I always tell people, at least my experience has been, you're always like one paycheck away from being homeless kind of thing, because the cost of living is pretty insane. So when you do these creative endeavors, whether it's publishing, whether it's creating toys, or I don't know what you want to do, and you sell it, a lot of times it's considered a luxury because it is so risky to do. However, a lot of these people who do these conventions, it's tried and true, and they know what works. They know, I'm going to make this many things and it's going to sell. And a lot of times people put their rent into the funds, and they put their car payments into the funds of producing these products because they know it's going to sell. So now here we are. These people had invested to make merchandise, and they don't have a platform now to sell their products. So I heard several people lamenting the fact that they didn't have this opportunity, and now the horror had set in, like, what are we going to do? So that kind of weighed heavy on me, because me too, I was out money. I had brought this vehicle here, but you know what, it was worth it to me to even try. We were all hurting. So my dumb ass is like, well, what can we do to fix this? And an interesting thing happened. I got a phone call from the same people who were telling me that I need to side with them. And he said, basically, you need to side with us because we're going to take down these companies, and when they're gone, you're going to have to deal with us. What are you going to do then? I said, what am I going to do then? He said, yep. He kind of laughed. And I said, well, I guess I'll just have to make my own convention then. And he said, you can't do that. And I said, fuck you, watch me. And that's what I did. So I went on this quest to make a convention, not just as a FU to these guys, but to generally try to help people in my community that were suffering from it. And we couldn't do it immediately because it's a matter of finding a place to do it, one that's affordable, one that made it easily accessible for people to access and come to, and not just some kind of half-ass situation. So lucky for me, I found a great location that had ample parking. The site was beautiful. I figured out how much it cost to rent the place. I divided that cost between the tables, and basically people paid just to have the event there. So I wasn't making any money. That wasn't the point. The point was to bring us all together and try to recoup from this huge hit that we took. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I had not done anything like this before. Story of my life. So how we're going to do it, who we're going to invite, that kind of thing. Again, my criteria is simple: no drama, no bullshit. And that's how I basically chose who I offered to come to these conventions. That made it so much easier. So we got people involved. Everybody quickly, the tables were filled up really fast. Now there's a matter of what we're going to call it. And we always joke around, if I'm going to make something, we're going to call it Sam this, Sam that. And we called it Samcon. And I kind of wrestle with that because it looks like it's a monument to my ego or something like that, but maybe it is, I don't know. But no, actually, the Sam had a double meaning. It was story, arts, and music, because I was hoping we have some musical people there. And also the second meaning was, it was Sam, Art, and Mark. my two other brothers from the Church of the Flying Armbar. So us three guys went ahead and we did this convention, and we went on the site, and I had told another friend of mine, Stacy Hayashi, who's in the church too, and I remember having lunch with her, and she was so pissed off at me. And yeah, Stacy, I'm telling this story. And she was so pissed off at me because she knew I couldn't afford to do it. She knew I was hurting too. And I said, you know what? I already signed the paperwork. It's done. We're going to do it. And she was like, oh, I just want to punch you in the face. And I'm like, I love you too. So we went to the site. We looked at it. And we figured it out. And it was cool. I even got a friend of mine, Sia Om, very well known, very fine graphic artist, comic book publisher, self-publisher. You can see her channel on YouTube also. I have the link in the description below. Sia came out. Her fiance John came out there with his adult comic books, which, you know, had colorful metaphors that you colored in, that kind of thing. Man, I'm drawing a blank. Who else we had? We had guests fly in from the outer islands, surprising me, other publishers. And of course, Hawaiian Comic Book Alliance was there to represent. We had various types of crafters, jewelry, pillows, Christmas ornaments. I don't know. We had a whole mix of things, and you can see in these pictures here. Because the property was so big, there was another room, and I was able to screen the series that we're trying to do, Dragonfly. So we ran the episodes all day long. Also, on the outside, we had a martial arts demonstration. Also, and of course, we brought in the Batmobile tumbler. So he was there. He got his tumbler right there, and he got to sit there and meet with people. And again, it was important for me to show people what Hawaii can do, but I also wanted him to see how people were going to react to his creation. So he had that, and he built this Ghostbuster vehicle also. And I heard recently he did a DeLorean time machine, which I haven't seen yet, but man, fantastic work. And all in all, it was a really cool event. So beat up, so tired from it at the end of the day, just completely wiped out. But yeah, I was satisfied that we did something like this. So yeah, I just wanted to share the story because somebody asked me, and I wanted to share the motivation behind it. Because, you know, two things. One, we got to help each other. Two, we got to stay away from bullies. Because I don't care how many of you there are, I will not bend the knee ever to you guys. And I will stick up for anybody else. So, you do that, you're going to be okay. And damn thankful it went okay. It was fantastic. So if you got to come to our event and you enjoyed it, I'm so grateful. I'm glad you had a good time. We did another mini Samcon about it this time last year. We rented a small office space, and we featured local artwork, comic books, one or two vendors, really small. It was a really nice little 2-day event. And people have asked me, when's the next one? So for now, no plans at the moment. The closest thing we have to that is the Pineapple Man and Friends gallery event that happens every April in Chinatown at the galleries at Mark's Garage. So that's a whole month-long event, and I feature a lot of local artists too there. And we can talk about that in another video. In the meantime, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are being fearless in what you're doing. Take no prisoners. Be good to each other. Aloha. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Meow. 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 Kitty, kitty, kitty.